Greetings, dear ones. I am Kryon of Magnetic Service. Some of you know I've already been channeling. You felt it. You know it happens. It's part of the meld that my partner and I have developed. When I asked him if he was ready to go to another level. And it's the same level that I ask you the same question about. You cannot have everyone the same, and you know you're not. Your Akash is so different. Each one of you, you might say, is a specialist on this planet, very, very unique. The lives you've had, the languages you've spoken, the cultures you've been in since the beginning, some of you, are really remarkable. And so you cannot then give one statement to all, one instruction to all, one question to all. But you can give the same question to an individual soul. And so I'm talking to the core of each. That which you would call the eternal part of you. Do you believe you will return, or at least that you continue past your death? And if you do, what is it and what part of it that is you continues? There's a core within you that has always been here, life after life. Your higher self, if you wish to call it that, is your best friend. It is the only thing that you have that is similar from lifetime to lifetime. And so you hang on to that. Unless it is, however, that you've lost track of it. This energy is going to promote a situation where you then connect again, where you realize again, where energetically you recognize and remember again. I had my partner consider naming this very meeting today, not mining the Akash, but mining the crystalline Akash. Because we have used the word crystalline over and over as a remembrance. And the remembrance this day is of the core. For those who are not here and listening later, each one has been individually carried by the human being with intent, who also has written something on a piece of paper and put it next to me, where I sit. All of these things are metaphoric. God knows all. On the other side of the veil, I will tell you that energetically, all of you are known. Not just known, but there's a place for you there. It's a part of the fabric of the universe. It's the core of you. It hides while you're a human being. You hope it's real what I'm saying to you. But past the shift that has happened, now we can tell you, you have the ability to recognize it's real, to remember it's real. Every individual light I have around me represents a life. But to me, it's a soul. If you were to project each soul and how many times that soul has inhabited an expression or a lifetime on the planet, I'm looking at tens of thousands of lights. But that's not how I see you. I see the few of you as some of the original souls on the planet, trying to work a puzzle that we have talked about and predicted now for 26 years. And for some of you sitting here, this puzzle is heartbreaking. And I know who you are. And if I told you that there is purpose and love in these things, you would then wonder where it is. And so part of this cognizing the truth is to see the compassion in all things and understand there is reason. Sometimes you agree to have certain issues so that others will be able to change. Sometimes you yourself will change because of others and what they have gone through or they've done or what they've said. And then as life goes forward, you realize what they did for you. And you wonder, was this an accident? Was there purpose? I'll tell you, you came in with an agreement. And it was one of such compassion that during this shift, you had to do it. No other time was more purposeful than this one. Old souls are going through a lot. And each soul, each one of your core souls, right now, in front of me, represented by a light, agreed to it. Not only that, but you agreed to see the truth at some time and with free will, recognize it or not. With free will. And what is that truth? I'll tell you what it is. That everything you thought was static is not. Everything is changeable. Everything is changeable. It's the appropriateness of the change that you will decide for yourself and others as you play out things one with another. But the question I want to ask you, the one that I ask my partner, the soul question is this: are you ready to go to the next level? The level is a meld, a 24/7 relationship with Spirit. My partner did not have that some years ago, and now he does. It affects him. It has affected him. It has given him issues and problems. He looks at life different. Not all those around him do. For you, it is the same. For the shift is here. And so many of you were saying, what can I do that's different? What should I then accomplish which is different? What can I ramp up now that is different? And we say it again. Until you have this meld and feel it and live this truth 24/7, anything you do, listen, is useless. You've come to a point now where the core of you is going to start awakening, and many of you are going to reject it because it feels too good. We spoke to groups recently and we actually said, what's wrong with you? Where is the joy factor? You say that you are beautiful, spiritual people, and all you do is hunch over and moan about things. You don't have a cheerful face. You're always suffering. Like God wants you to suffer as some kind of payment to be alive. You all are part of a beautiful universe that has light beyond measure. You're going to start understanding that the meld will give you this joy factor no matter what is happening in your life. It is an understanding beyond what you think you should have. It's a peace that goes beyond anything that should be there. People will see you, the issues around you, and they will see a beaming face, not of laughter or frivolity, but of joy and wisdom and maturity. And they'll say, "What have you got?" And you won't be able to describe it, but I can. That your DNA literally is starting to shift in a multidimensional way, and the higher self is inhabiting every part of it. Humans in an old religious and spiritual culture, you did your best. You found that which you wanted to emulate, be it a prophet or a system, and then you compartmentaled it. Compartmentalization is something that humans do because of the linearity of your thinking. That which you tried to emulate, then you put on a pedestal, and you worship or learn about it or give classes upon it. You put it in a place. You put on different clothes at a certain time, or take off your shoes going into a sacred place where that thing is that you wish to emulate or worship or honor even. And there you're in that place or that building for a little while. And then you come out, you put on your shoes, and you go change your clothes and live normal. Am I getting through? The question: are you ready to take off your shoes full time? That's a metaphor. Are you ready to see the divinity of what you're trying to emulate inside and not outside? I'll say it again. Are you ready to take off your shoes full time? Are you ready to see the divinity of emulation, everything you've ever wanted, come from inside instead of outside? And that requires something that we talk about constantly, a re-evaluation of self-worth. Do you deserve it? Is it proper? If I had one thing to say to you and had to leave the planet, I would say, correct this and understand that there's no reason to be ashamed of the beauty of God. Why do you hide in the corners so often instead of showing your light? And showing your light is being balanced. And we've said this before. It's not climbing to the top of a tower and hollering out what you're trying to emulate. It's emulating it and letting people see you emulate it. It's having the light and the wisdom. It's not being angry so often. It's smiling more regardless of what's going on in your life. It's being peaceful. I have said this so many times, dear ones. Your DNA is working on trying to have a greater efficiency in the old soul body. And when it does, you're going to live longer. But it's not going to get through unless there's more laughter. Laughter is the release that says it's okay. It's okay. Laughter actually chases fear away, sometimes for a moment, sometimes forever. But it takes a full reevaluation of your self-worth. Are you ready to go to a 24/7? Now, don't misunderstand me. There are some who enjoy building an altar or having ceremonies, taking off their shoes, putting them back on. Let that become something that is ceremony instead of your life. Let it is something that honors when things should be honored. But when you climb in your car, you get in with the emulation. When you may have an errand to the store and you're looking for things to shop, do you know that your soul is still there and God is still there and all the things that you're feeling right here today is still there? Why do you want to turn it off? When you have to go into work or solve some very 3D puzzles or do things that you would think have nothing to do with spiritual attributes, there is a tendency, really, to leave God outside until you're done. And that's habit. And then there are those who will say, I'm simply not worthy of this. I'm simply not worthy. And I'm going to say it again, improperly perhaps. What leader you trusted told you that? It's not a betrayal to find truth and light that is beyond what you were told. It is not a betrayal of friendship or family. It's not a betrayal for you to discover a grander truth than you were told by somebody else. Why should you build an old box and stay in it simply because somebody told you that's the way it works? And there are so many who do and will. And that's your free choice. Compassion is the key. I'll make a statement from this stage this weekend. That's what I want to talk about. It's the thing that everything boils down to, as you say. It distills itself to one property: compassion. And I'm not talking about compassion for others. I'm talking about you with you. Can you have compassion for yourself? Can you look at your life today, understand that you are a product of thousands of lives? There's work to do, and you've got to get beyond that which is an old paradigm where you don't think you're worth it, or it's not going to happen correctly, or you still don't understand what to do. Or you're looking at it and you're saying, is this correct or not? Is there something I'm doing wrong? There's none of that, dear ones. You are part of God, not some structure that would ask those questions. My partner said something today during the exercise, but it wasn't my partner. These are precious, what's on these cards. But I don't see with the eyes like you do, or read in the language that you wrote them in. I feel the energy of the soul that wrote them. And I know what you really want. Not what's written on it. That's new. Could God care enough for you that you are so well known? That's why you got to be 24/7. You can't report and then leave and report and leave to a building or a place or even an energy. Because what you have to do, dear ones, in this lifetime, in the next, and in the next, is change this planet completely. And there's only one way to do that. You will awaken with new awareness. I've said it before. I want you to hear it, old soul, right now. Because of your choice to be here on the planet now, listen to these kinds of things, you'll have a refreshed Akash and one that's working better. You will awaken with knowledge that you belong here. You will have greater wisdom even as a child. You will not make the mistakes you made this time around. You will be seen by others as wise. All of you will have the potential of becoming teachers in some level, in some way, of the new souls that need to hear what you have, and you'll carry an Akashic crystalline remembrance that is acute and stronger than anything that's ever occurred on the planet. It starts with this generation, but it has already been happening to a lower level for almost 50 years. The new children have it. That's why they're such a problem. They're wiser than you are. They refuse the older systems because they see them as older systems. There is a full rejection of what you give them in almost every area because they know better. They're a handful because they know better. And it's difficult to know in which way to turn and how to handle them. And we've told you all along, if you take that child and you look them in the eye and you acknowledge, you know they know better, you'll have a friend. If you're obstinate, you're part of the old energy. If you're 24/7, dear ones, you're right with them. And they see you. There's no generation gap. Try it out. Some of them are here. This is the new human being. A paradigm that really is different. There is a future to the Akash that is beyond anything that has happened. That's what I just told you. But the one that is there now, living in you, as I look at these lights, is ready to shift. A statement was made on the stage. You don't have to pass away anymore and come back with a refreshed, renewed idea in order to evolve. The evolution of human consciousness is here now, available in the old souls who sit in front of me. The idea that you can reach in and perhaps touch the wisdom that you have learned and earned on this planet is absolute. If you go away from here with no other truth, know that. And yet there will be those who leave here and say, I enjoyed it, but I don't know what to do. And then I'm going to tell you 24/7, take your shoes off and listen. Because all of the guidance that you need is synchronistic, because God knows who you are, where you are, what you need, what you want. And it's new. Can you imagine that kind of a relationship 24/7? It can only happen to an old soul. The new ones are not mature enough. They haven't been here long enough. They're still learning how the earth works. You know how the earth works. Now, find out how God inside works. That's enough for today. And so it is. Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. Dear ones, there are always those who would question what's happening here. And we've said it every time we've come. We invite you to relax and suspend the belief that you were told. I want to ask you something. Do you really believe that the creator of this universe, who knows your name, is in the dark? Or do you think that that wonderful creative energy knows what's happening here? The masters of the planet all said the same thing, that inside the human being, there was the image of God. You can make whatever you want to and believe whatever you want to of that. But I want you to feel what it means. If you have the image of God in you, it means you are eternal. And this eternalness is beautiful. It doesn't carry with it punishment or reward. You simply return to that which is God. There's many layers of belief here. It's appropriate for those of free choice. Dear ones, there'll be the one who is healed today. And then sitting next to him will be somebody who complains. The reason for this is you all are on a unique path, each one. Some of you are so ready for this energy. You feel it coming. It's why you're here sitting in the chair. What's next? I feel something happening. Let's establish the sacredness of this room. Hundreds of old souls right here. What does that mean to the planet? I'm going to tell you more about that this evening. But for now, it means a collection of divine beings is in the chairs. You may question that. May not be what you were told. But can't you feel it? Oh, we have talked about this before. We have talked about Italy before. We'll do it again. Maybe even right now. But before we do, I want to invite the entourage to this place. The entourage is filled with your guides, your angels. Call them anything you want to. They're the divinity of the planet which gathers around you. Even the elementals of Gaia are here. In the city, they are here. Your partnership with nature is here. Let's agree to do something. Human being, I'm going to ask you right now to break that box of worry and concern for 7 or 8 minutes, that's all. What have you got to lose? Are you afraid God might love you too much if you do that? Do you feel it's inappropriate for you to open up? You've been in the box, some of you, for so long. Some of you say, well, I'll only go so far. What are you really afraid of? The only thing that's going to be presented here is a message of compassion and love. There is no other energy. We invite you to feel that right now. Is this a divine space or not? I want to turn to the old soul who's been in the esoterics for years. I turn to the old soul which can feel things. Do you feel it here? This is not about the man in the chair or the place where he's from. That man has stepped aside. This is a message that comes to you from the other side of the veil. Can you believe that? Is it appropriate? It's a sacred area, so we give sacred information. Dear ones, we've said it before, Italy is special. Through the ages, the center of spiritual belief for 1 billion of Earth's people has come from here. Why here? Have you ever thought about that? Is it a coincidence? Could it have come from anywhere else? Does it have anything to do with the culture? It has everything to do with Italians, and always has. Isn't it interesting that so much of the information that has been spiritual has come in this language? Is it possible this was an error? Or is there something here, all through this land, from the bottom to the top, that speaks of something that is special? And the answer is yes, it does. Yes, it does. It still does. My partner spoke of the leader called the Pope and the changes that are taking place as he slowly steers his organization into a more compassionate zone, one that's practical, one that talks about how people can love one another, how the earth can get together like it never has before, how there could be a consensus for peace, how it starts in the heart. This is a different message than you've heard in the protocol. It's changing. We turn now to the esoterics. And the esoterics are different since the shift. A whole group of you who have been here for a very long time, and I mean Akashically, are starting to have an impact. Often what happens in Italy has a spiritual impact on the world. Did you ever figure that out? You have seen it now for hundreds of years. Why should it be different now? It's not about starting another organization, dear ones. It's about holding quantum energy for old souls all over the planet. Italy may be the fast track for the rest of the planet, almost like a quantum accelerator. Have you thought of that? Why would it change now? It's always been that way. So what is it that you want to do? What is it that this culture could do? I want to set the stage. I want to pave a road for something that's going to happen 1 year from now, where my partner is bringing me back. And I want to start it now. And we're going to give it a name. And it's going to be called the end of suffering and the beginning of self-worth. That's what the Italians can do. To get out of that teaching, perhaps, that said that spirituality must come with the partner of suffering. And that has been what has gone hand in glove, hand in hand. You've got to suffer a little. The greatest saints that you have suffered a little. Dear ones, that's not a wrong message. It's simply an older energy message. It is something that now can be rewritten and reframed. How do you feel about that? As you look at yourself in the eyes of God, let me ask you this. Are your eyes cast down to the ground? Are you in a position that is lower than God? Why don't you pray with your face to the sky? Because that's what you are. You are part of this plan. You always have been. And now it's time to lift your face to the sky and speak to that which is almighty. I've passed a very important marker, which literally changes the energy of your relationship to God. Some of you say, I can't do that. I just can't do that. I'm not really worthy to do that. I've been told who I am. I feel I've suffered in the past lives I've had. I cannot suddenly wake up and change all that. What if I told you there's help? What if I told you it comes from the creative source? Feel your worthiness to do this. And the next time that you pray, open it this way. Dear Spirit, I am worthy to speak to that which is inside me, called the image of God. God, what do you know that I should know? What about that? I would like you to have a recognition, finally, of who you might be. Dear ones, you have studied Scripture, and you know that there are areas, time frames, or dispensations of spirituality. There was the dispensation of law, when humans had a lower consciousness. There was the dispensation of love, when the Master of Love gave these things to you. And now, dear ones, since 2012, there is the dispensation of worthiness, where humanity starts to awaken and realize the spiritual box they were in is coming apart. It's enabling. It creates a human being which can do more. There are those in this group right now who may have come for a healing. Do you feel it? Why don't you just leave all these things here in this room? They're inappropriate for your magnificence. What's your worry box look like? You see, Kryon, what's a worry box? That's the box you put everything in to worry about. And then you take that box, and it's always with you. And then you decide when you're going to worry about things. Sometimes it's when you go to sleep. Sometimes it's when you drive your car. Sometimes it's right now. What if you could turn the box upside down and leave them on the floor? Well, Kryon, that's not really practical, because the items I'm worrying about are still there. Well, the items might be there, but your reaction to them can be erased. Filled instead with understanding, compassion, and a knowingness. God is with me. All things are appropriate. I've got a partner in the stars, and I'm going to leave this place differently than I came. What a message. The things I'm telling you are accurate and true. There's a shift on this planet, dear Italian, and you are really part of it. The end of suffering, and the old souls are the ones who are going to do it. I've given this message like this before. I'm going to do it again, because you need to hear it. That's it for now. That's enough for you to think of for now. If you had the hearing that was esoteric, you would hear applause. A tremendous group on the other side of the veil is so pleased you're listening to this. Someone has to do this, and the old souls are the ones, and so it is.